Well, good day, my friends. It's your old pal Jordan the Lion. How are you all doing today? I hope you said great. Today we're in Jamestown, New York, the home of Lucille Ball, and we're going to the National Comedy Center, which is basically an amazing comedy museum with some of the coolest artifacts you'll ever find anywhere. You guys are gonna love this. Daze with Jordan the Lion and you all begins right now. Been here one time before and I was blown away, and it was a couple of years ago, so I wanted to see if they've added anything new or what's changed. All right, here we go, and there's the beautiful Lucy. First off, look behind all the exhibits right back there. That is Johnny Carson's curtain from The Tonight Show. How cool. They did say they got new stuff since I was here, so it's worth it. They got Dan Aykroyd's motorcycle and some other stuff. There is Johnny Carson's Art Fern costume, shirt, jacket, even him wearing it right here, and his kooky wig that went along with it, and the hat for this costume, which was also Carson. Floyd R. Turbo. But I love that you can actually see and take a photo in front of the curtain. Here's Jordan. Here we have Doc Severinsen's jacket and his band leader stand. And they have a photo of him wearing it, which that just makes this experience so cool because you actually get to see the examples of them wearing it. And then pretty frequent guest on Johnny Carson was Bette Midler, and she wore that dress on his final show. So it says XO on the bosom. It's got the flowers down here, and here's the photo of her wearing it on that very last show. Comedy great Joan Rivers, and also would guest host The Tonight Show a lot until she got her own show, and Johnny was so offended that he never talked to her again. Joan Rivers' necklace that she's wearing in that photo. Some early headshots. And then one of her scarves. So this section's great because you have Richard Pryor's robe right here. His Sugar Ray robe from Harlem Nights. It's the very first thing right there, and there's a photo of him wearing it. They've got Axel Foley's jacket and shirt, Eddie Murphy and Beverly Hills Cop. That is great, right? And then, of course, Red Skelton, which that's another great museum. Go check out the Red Skelton Center. They have a ton of his stuff. Clem Cadiddlehopper outfit. Lucy's famous polka dot dress from I Love Lucy. Now this is maybe one of my favorite exhibits, the Betty White exhibit, where they have her Houghton Cleveland tracksuit, her gown that she wore when she accepted her Emmy for Outstanding Lead in a Comedy Series, that purple one back there, that lavender. Here's the award. And then her rose sweater from Golden Palace, which was spin-off of the Golden Girls when B. Arthur didn't want to do it any longer. There's all of her Emmys. What a great case. Pretty amazing. And then right over here, the Smothers Brothers. Famous story of the Lost Weekend, John Lennon and Harry Nilsson going to the Smothers Brothers reunion show at the Troubadour and getting thrown out. Those are their clothes. Now, I'm a huge Andy Kaufman fan. Last time I was here, I think they had his championship women's wrestling belt, but I don't see it now. Instead, they have this, which is amazing. He's actually wearing that when I think he was on The Tonight Show. He's wearing it right there. And here's his last will and testament. Wow, how crazy is that? I'm actually, after I'm here, a couple of days later, I'm going to go interview Jimmy Hart. And Jimmy Hart was involved with a lot of that stuff with Jerry Lawler and Andy Kaufman. So hopefully we'll get some good information out of him. And here's Andy's name tag from The Tonight Show. Look, they have an entire section for George Carlin. The room just says George Carlin's stuff. Let's see what they have. Oh, they have his clothes from the cover of his album,
American history, as far as
FM and AM, and his Grammy Award from it, right there.
digital and smoke-free. A diversified multicultural.
Then these are his files of all of his ideas, things that he would eventually write comedy about. Pretty amazing. Then over here they have a stand-up lounge, and look at what they have displayed in here. Stand-up comedian and one of the most popular television shows of all time, Seinfeld, Jerry Seinfeld's puffy shirt. That episode where he promised to wear this puffy shirt because a low talker asked him to and he didn't know what he was agreeing to. And she was taking orders because he was going to wear the shirt. So her whole business was resting on Jerry wearing this shirt on TV. That is so great to see. I noticed they were advertising Bill Murray is going to be here performing with his band in a week or so. In here they have a room that's kind of dedicated to comics, cartoons, the animated side of comedy. And as you can see over here, some of the really famous ones like Dennis the Menace and Popeye, Flintstones. And you can draw your own and have them animated over here. That's what these people are doing. Betty Boop. Alright, when we enter this room, they have a bunch of different radios on display. Different entertainment that people would have used to enjoy the comedy. But they also have Ron Burgundy's suit from Anchorman. See if I can get out of the way so you can see it here. And the Zoolander outfit. Derek Zoolander, all the way down to the boots. So you got Ron Burgundy and Zoolander, two completely ridiculous characters in comedy history. And then next to them, one of my all-time favorites, Wayne's World, Garth's Aerosmith shirt, and Wayne's World hat. That is pretty cool. I love that. Still a classic to this day. There he is wearing it. And there's Mike Myers wearing the hat. And then this suit is Buddy's jacket. It's Jerry Lewis's from The Nutty Professor. Buddy Loves jacket. This place is incredible, I'm telling you. Over here they have Shelley Berman's stool and gold record. And the telegram here was telling him to go make an album. And that's the album he made, comedy album. And this was his Rolodex. These are the original lyrics and music from Alan Sherman's Hello Mutta, Hello Fada, which Bob Burns, the original drummer of Lynyrd Skynyrd, said in an interview that that's where they got the name Lynyrd Skynyrd. Some of the other members would say, well, he had a coach named Lynyrd Skynyrd, but he also said in this song they say Lynyrd Skynyrd, and that's where he got it. That's where he believed that was also an influence, was this song. Hello Mutta, Hello Fada. There's all kinds of comedy legends, current and former. And they've got Weird Al's accordion. How cool is that? Weird Al's accordion next to Dr. Demento's top hat, who I believe is credited with giving Al his first airplay and stuff. Al was a big fan. I love Weird Al. How can you not? Over here we have some Cheers stuff. Cliff Clavin's postal worker costume, but she was always wearing that. We actually just lost George Wendt. There's John Ratzenberger's postal worker. That's Carla's outfit. Rhea Perlman, and then this is all Frasier.
That created its whole new wave of smart workplace comedies.
Kind of surprising to see this, but they have the Mean Girls Jingle Bell dress that Lindsay Lohan wore in Mean Girls. And the boots. And then if you go back here, they've got a really awesome Saturday Night Live display. I think they've changed some stuff around because I thought there used to be some laugh-in stuff right over here, and it's not here. These are all cue cards from Saturday Night Live. That's how they actually do the show live. These people all have to read the cue cards, of course. Then over here, it looks like they have stuff from episode 1, the very beginning, like all the cue sheets and all that stuff. And over here, they're acknowledging all the sketch comedy that was important, like all the Second City stuff and Upright Citizens Brigade. Oh wow, I think this is new. I just came around a corner and they have Caroline's Comedy Club in here. Wow. That was kind of like a big time TV show that I would watch, that would feature up and coming comedians and touring comedians. Looks like these says Caroline's on Broadway opened its iconic Carlin Quinn doors 1992 after a decade of operations in New York's Chelsea and South Street Seaport neighborhood districts. Presence of the respected club catalyzed the resurgence of Times Square and planted stand-up comedy right in the heart of Manhattan. Made a household name by way of Caroline's Comedy Hour, an award-winning television stand-up showcase throughout the history of the club. Was a haunt for an array of comics including Dave Chappelle, Ellen DeGeneres, Chelsea Handler, Kevin Hart, Bill Maher, Tracy Morgan, Jerry Seinfeld, and Wanda Sykes. The club's last headliner was Dave Attell, who closed his final set by acknowledging founder Caroline Hirsch as a force whose 4 decades of leadership had elevated the comedy craft. And that's Caroline Hirsch right there. She was the founder, and she's the one that did everything. And there's Jerry Seinfeld with her. Here's some of the glasses and menu. There's a bit of a documentary of Bill Burr talking about performing there. Very young Bill Burr. So that's what happened. If you're ever wondering what happened to Caroline's Comedy Club, it's here at the Comedy Center in Jamestown. Pretty cool. I'm scared. This used to be where they had the Larry Sanders set. I'm wondering if they still have it. Let's see, shall we? What do we have in here? Ernie Kovacs' room. He was considered TV's original genius. Ernie Kovacs, comedy legend. That's his customized cigar case with his name in it. And then his soup can inverter made by Ernie Kovacs. And his posthumous Emmy Award, Outstanding Achievement in the Electronic Camera Work. There's some of his character disguises, his mustaches, his makeup case, eye patch, all kinds of stuff. He put this together himself, including those kooky glasses right there. I'm definitely glad I came because things have changed. And here we have Bob Hope's stuff. His entertaining clothing from Entertaining the Troops and awards. My grandpa's brother was actually his pilot for some of these. He flew him around to all these. He's mentioned in Bob Hope's book, actually. Now we'll go into the Carl Reiner exhibit. So here he has the script and things from The Jerk, including what would have been the script pages for The Russians Are Coming would have been in here. And you notice right in front is the pair of opti-grabs from The Jerk. I love it. And this was the Rebecca bobblehead from The Man with Two Brains, which Steve Martin and Carl Reiner also worked on together. And these were all Carl's scripts bound in leather. But you can see up there the pages from The Jerk on the cover page. Here's the Mark Twain Award gifted to Carl Reiner. But his daughter made him an Emmy Award, it looks like. Or no, his son. Looks like Rob Reiner made that for him. Emmy Award to Carl Reiner for Best Daddy of All Time. Happy birthday from Rob. And there's a note from Billy Crystal back there. This is really cool because Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks were best friends. And they used to hang out every night together watching TV and talking. And when Carl died, they moved their sitting area here. So there's photos of them up there. Mel Brooks is still with us. They say he's going to do a new Spaceballs movie. Said they gathered each night in these chairs right there at Reiner's in Beverly Hills. They would enjoy dinner and Jeopardy and some of their favorite films. Mel said, I loved how Carl laughed. Now, Carl actually had a big fire. Well, there's a big earthquake that came through and destroyed a lot of people's houses, and his got destroyed too, and destroyed some of his awards. But he was able to, like it says right here, it says when most of the awards toppled during the Northridge earthquake, he embraced the damage. He said, I liked it when they were crashed. The balls were off of them and the wings were off of them, and they looked like abstract sculptures. They reminded me that life goes on. So let's see if we can see any that look broken that have been put back together or not. Oh yeah, look at that. Look how warped it is. Bent up. Especially that one. Look at that one. That one's all warped up. Look at all those Emmys. That's a ton of them. So he was the writer for the Dick Van Dyke Show. So this is all Dick Van Dyke stuff, including his hat. Big Bad Brady hat. That would have been his wig. Some of the scripts right here in these leather bound. And then there they have Rosemary's dress. Now in this cafe they have a performing center, so you can do stand-up right there. But they also have something on display in here. And that is right over here. He didn't get much respect in life, but he is here. Rodney Dangerfield's suit. And his bag with the RD monogram right there, you can kind of see. So they told me they had some new stuff downstairs, including one of Gabriel Iglesias' cars. So let's go see those. So this is the Blue Room. This is all the memorabilia of Dirty Comedy. So that right there is Lenny Bruce's trench coat and his typewriter. And I actually went to the house he died in and his grave last time I was in Los Angeles. Oh look, Don Rickles. I love it. They've got his suit here. He just called me a yo-yo. His Toy Story 2 script. One of his awards. Ashtray from the Copa. Yeah, he was a big roaster. He loved to call people a hockey puck or a dummy or many things. He was great in the movie Dirty Work. I love him in that.
I don't need this kind of work. You gotta be a dummy.
Yeah, you're talking to me. Dice Clay. This is Rusty Warren's outfit. Knockers Up. She was wearing this on her album Knockers Up. Love it. That was fun. Now let's go down one more floor. There's actually 2 floors below the ground level. If the Larry Sanders exhibit is gone, I'm sad, but that's even more reason to come back here like once a year, because it looks like they changed things out, which is what you kind of want to see at a museum. All right, this is what they call the Fluffy exhibit because of Gabriel Iglesias. Oh, there we go. Here's part of the Larry Sanders set. That's what we wanted to see. They just moved it down here. That's great. God, I love this show. If you've never seen it, it was on HBO. It was so good. It was so far before its time because it was pretending to be a reality show. It was basically showing you the behind the scenes of how a late night TV show worked, with the host having, you know, prior relationships with some of the guests, whether it be in the old comedy world or he dated somebody that they dated or whatever. They always had a really great storyline with big guests, like everybody from like Jim Carrey, David Duchovny back in the day when X-Files was on. Over here we have Dan Aykroyd's motorcycle. Pretty cool. I wonder, it doesn't say, but I wonder if this is the one that he led the procession for John Belushi's funeral with. It's a Harley, and I just don't know my years. John died in 82. I'm not sure what year his bike was and what year the bike that he was driving was and what this is. So, but very cool. My friend Todd Fisher is Carrie Fisher's brother, and he used to ride motorcycles with Dan when Dan was actually engaged to Carrie. A lot of people don't know that that was the case, but at one time they were engaged, and then Carrie ended up moving on and marrying Paul Simon instead. So, great Larry Sanders exhibit. I just love seeing that. And Gabriel Iglesias has a huge collection of Volkswagens, so it looks like he put one in here. Very self-made. I know a lot of people in the comedy community that started with Gabriel and said he was one of the hardest working people even then. So there he is wearing that shirt. This has been a great day. I love what they've done here. The new stuff they've added is really cool. It's fun. Got some stuff for the younger generation of comedy. He even signed his album, so that's what he's wearing, that shirt on his album. Okay, as I got back to right where I entered, I noticed this is where they moved the laugh-in background to. So it's still here. That's awesome. I was worried about that because that was so cool to see. It's nice that they at least have it. And they have a nice theater, so this is probably where Bill Murray's going to perform in there, probably. So cool. So cool. If you're already a Lucille Ball fan and you were thinking of coming to Jamestown to see her grave, her childhood home, the statues, her museum with Daze, I hope you see that this place is worth checking out just as much. It's only 3 blocks away from it. So I hope you enjoyed our day here at the National Comedy Center. We're going to call it a day. Have a great night and goodbye.